Are you ready to take the Army leadership test? Are you an effective leader? It's 4 very simple yes or no questions that can help you determine whether you are or how you can become an effective leader. It's straight out of Army doctrine, and if there's a place we want to learn about leadership, it's the Army. Because in the Army, if leaders fail, people die, so the stakes are high. So let's dive right into this leadership test. 4 simple questions based on Army doctrine. Question number 1 is, are you a person of integrity? First and foremost, before we consider anything else, the Army says leadership is based upon integrity. It's the first question. President Eisenhower said that the supreme quality in leadership is unquestionably integrity. Without it, he says, no real success is possible, no matter whether on a section gang, a football field, in the Army, or in an office. The Army has a leadership model. Be, know, and do. And you might think you're an effective leader because you're smarter and know more institutional knowledge than anybody else, but the Army says your character is more important. You might think because you produce more or you can do more than anybody else, you're an effective leader. The Army says no. The most important thing, the priority, is be who you are, your character, your integrity. And quite honestly, integrity is an area of vulnerability because of the nature of USAREC and recruiting, and it's something we really need to consider. The Army says it's the first thing we need to consider. Are you a person of integrity? The second question flows right out of that, and that is, are you building trust? Question number 2 is, are you building trust among your teammates? I didn't say fear. I didn't say do they respect you. Does your team trust you? Go back to the model. Be, know, and do. Be. Are you trustworthy? Can they trust your integrity? No. Do they trust that you know enough to do the job? Or do they trust that you're able to do the job? Trust, critically important. I believe people will forgive you if you don't know enough about doing the job. Or people will be gracious with you even if you fail to produce results 1-2 months. But an error in integrity, an error in trustworthiness, it's very hard to overcome that. I think trust is like coins in your pocket. And when you make a good decision or you demonstrate integrity, you put coins in your pocket. You put a deposit in your pocket. It's extra change. But if you make a bad decision or you jeopardize your integrity, that's like a withdrawal. That's like taking change out. And so when you're dealing with trust in your people, you need to ask, how much change is in my pocket? And am I putting money in or am I taking money out? The Army wants to know what you are doing in building trust amongst your teammates. So those are the first 2 questions. Are you a person of integrity? Are you building trust? The third question is, do you apply sound judgment? Bottom line is that leaders are paid to make decisions. And the Army says good decisions are based on sound judgment. And sound judgment comes when we fully understand or we fully think through the why. Why we make the decision we make. It's easy to think about the what the decision is, or even the how we're going to implement it. But can you defend? Can you articulate? Will you allow your teammates to cross-examine your why? Why did you make the decision? Why are we doing what we're doing as a team? And there are five proverbs that I want you to remember as we think about this. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 17, critical because it's about perspective. It says, the first to speak sounds right until the next one comes and presents his case. Or the first opinion or the first side of the story sounds very persuasive. Somebody comes and cross-examines it, it looks a little different. Number 2, Proverbs 11:14. There is safety in having many advisors. Are you making decisions in a vacuum based upon your own limited exposure or perspective? Or are you allowing other people to come in? Are you allowing other people to cross-examine and ask the tough questions in regards to the why? Proverbs 27 verse 6 talks about the type of person you're allowing in. Words of a sincere friend are better than many kisses of an enemy. So are the people who are giving you feedback in regards to your decisions yes men? Or are they somebody who's really will take you to the task? Number 4, Proverbs 16 verse 2. Think about this. People may be pure in their own eyes, but the Lord examines their motives. We all have blind spots. And if we're limited in our perspective, and if we're listening to one side of the story, our own, are we considering our blind spots? And then finally, number 5, and I will continue to bang this drum, Proverbs 10 verse 9, people with integrity walk securely. Does your decision pass the integrity filter? So those are just 5 things that can help us in our quest for sound judgment. So far we've asked 3 questions. Are you a person of integrity? Are you building trust among your teammates? Do you apply sound judgment? And finally, question number 4, are you influencing others? Leadership is influencing. John Maxwell, I think, said it great and funny. He said, whoever thinks they lead, but no one follows, is only taking a walk. So if you think you're leading, but you don't have any followers, you're not leading at all. You're just out for a walk. And I want to remind you, it's not about rank. You might say, well, I'm the lowest guy in the station. I can't, how am I going to lead officers or people of higher rank? Hey, you know what? You can lead down. That's normally how we think about leading those kind of who are under us, but you can also lead up as well to those of higher position or higher rank than you. But you also, please consider this, leadership can also be about, the horizontal, leading your peers, leading those of the same rank. Because the bottom line, it's not the position that makes the leader, it's the leader that makes the position. And are you influencing those around you to do the right thing? And the Army actually outlines 9 methods of influence. And we could go through each one. I think it would be interesting. There they are right there. But I just want to point out a couple to you. So, how are you influencing people? How are you, getting people to follow a certain way, produce a certain number? Is it personal appeal? And you can see that up there. Do it because you like me. Do it because you've bought into me as a leader. Is it collaboration? Are you working with them? You're getting in there in the trenches with them and working with them? Is it rational persuasion? You're trying to convince them the logic of it all and kind of just, use the rational argumentative approach? But then you see the top one there, pressure, punishment, threat, UCMJ, fear. Do this or else. I have to tell you, I personally cringe in the Army when I see a young leader use this method. And a lot of young leaders, it's really the only method. It makes me cringe. I see it, I still see it. And maybe you see your leader doing it. Don't take it from me though. The Army doctrine, official Army doctrine, says this about leaders who overutilize the pressure method. They say leaders, this is ADP 6-22 5-10, leaders should use this method infrequently, particularly in garrison, since it tends to create subordinate resentment. You are trying to get people to follow you, to influence them. And the Army says if you overutilize this method, it tends to create resentment among your subordinates. Please remember this. Don't overutilize. Stay away from the pressure technique. There are so many other techniques you can use as a leader to influence those around you. So those are the 4 questions. Are you a person of integrity? Are you building trust? Do you apply sound judgment? Are you influencing others? This is directly taken from Army Doctrine, ADP 6-22, from the introduction. Page Roman numeral 7 says this, and you can see it there. What makes an effective leader? A person of integrity who builds trust and applies sound judgment to influence others. That is an effective leader. That is a leader that we're all striving to be. So strive, walk in peace, and have the best day possible.